And you said he was given titles. Speaking of given titles, something that just occurred I believe yesterday, the IBF stripping Terence Crawford of their title and basically upgrading Jaron Ennis to their world champion now, basically giving him that title and everything. A lot of people want to see that fight, Boots versus Terence Crawford. Your thoughts on the IBF making that move, and should they fight? Should Terence Crawford and Boots fight? Has Boots earned that fight yet?
I think Boots has earned a title shot, and his last fight was for the, I think, interim or something, IBF vacant interim, something like that.
Yeah.
Because Terence had this fight with Errol Spence, and see the way the sanctioning bodies, organizations like the IBF, they do go by the book, right? When you got a big major fight, Terence Spence fight, and they have to make the number one contender wait, a lot of times they do allow him to fight for those vacant interim title fights, right?
Yeah.
And that's how Ennis was able to pick up that belt. If he picked up, I'm not even 100% sure if that was the last fight or before.
Like, I think 2 fights ago.
Something like that, right? But that's how that happens. But when they ask and they're demanding that Terence defend his title against Ennis, and Terence has other plans, you can't force Terence to fight. I mean, if he's got other plans or maybe moving up in weight or whatever, then that's how they elevate a fighter to a full, world champion. That's not the same as having the world champion wanting to fight you and you just don't fight him. For different reasons, it turns to, like I said, moving up in weight. It's not like they're giving him just a fight like that. But he will have to defend his title or vacate, and I guess they decided to quote unquote strip him.
Yeah.
So that's how that goes. I know the IBF demands that once you have your IBF title, you better defend against their number one contender within like 9 months, or the first title defense, and then you have 9 months to fight whoever. I mean, there's different rules, right?
Yeah.
So I guess they finally decided to apply the rules, and I mean, if Ennis got that vacant title a fight or two ago, and Terence doesn't want to fight him, then for sure, then he should be considered world champ.
Let me ask you this question, and it actually constitutes to this. Do you believe boxing is incredibly political? Like politics in play? And I'll give you an example. The example I want to give you is this whole IBF situation. Everybody's talking about Errol Spence only defended that belt once in the 5 years that he held it, and it was when he fought Ocampo. And that was like in the mid 2010s. So it was like 16 or 17. Hadn't defended it and was never stripped. Terence barely wins it. The fight happened in July? We're in November now, and now they strip him.
Look, when I'm not 100% sure of the facts and details of dates and years and all that. When Terence wins this belt, like I said, normally the IBF always demands that you defend your title against their number one contender. I think in the first fight or like within 9 months or something like that. I forget, but something like that along those lines. Different organizations have different time frames.
Yeah.
Or 12 months as opposed to 8 or 9 or whatever. When Spence had his IBF title, I don't know the year when he first won the title.
I believe he won it from Kell Brook.
But yeah. I don't know the year.
We can find out right now.
But he did defend or fight a few guys after that. If I'm not mistaken, I think he also fought Peterson.
Lamont, yeah.
You said Ocampo too, right?
Yeah, he fought Ocampo as well. Let's see here. I'll tell you right now. He beat Kell Brook in 2017, then fought Lamont Peterson in 2018, and then Ocampo in 18 as well. And then he faced you.
Okay, see, when he faced me, that was his last title defense possibly. Because then after that, it's title unifications that he had.
Yeah, he fought Sean Porter afterwards.
Porter. Those don't count as title defenses. Those are title unifications. So for that, the rule doesn't apply. They have to wait. And then after that one, he fought... what did he fight? He fought Ugas, or he was supposed to fight.
He fought Danny Garcia. There was his comeback fight after the car accident.
But then you move into the whole situation with COVID.
Yeah.
So that extends that those rules are not applying during COVID. No one was fucking fighting during COVID. So then it extended, the time frame that he was allowed to hold onto the belt. And then he finally fought Danny Garcia, which was a voluntary title defense. So I mean, it's just time frame could be different. When I fought, who was it? Lipinets. It was in March of 18, for his IBF at 140. And they asked that I defend against their number one contender. I forget who it was, but I had different plans. I said, no, I'm coming back down to 135 to fight Robert Easter. So then they said, okay, then you have to vacate the title, which I did right away. I won the title fight with Robert Easter, a unification. I picked up the IBF. Again, they asked, hey, you got to defend. I said, no, I'm moving up to 147 now. So I vacated the title. So, like I said, things changed, but I know they usually do everything by the book. But when you got COVID, you got an accident, you got stuff that's not really in your control, they can also be a little more flexible. And that's what they did. That's why they ended up giving Boots Ennis the opportunity to fight for one of those titles, in hopes that in the future or real soon, Terence Crawford could get that, title shot at Ennis could get that title shot with Crawford. But, like I said, maybe Crawford doesn't really want, has different interests, fight somewhere else, or 154 maybe, I don't know. And that's why they have to apply those rules. Like I said, different sanctions have different opportunities, different time frames. You got to ask them. I'm just going by what I can assume.
No, but see, thankfully you actually broke couple of things down, because
that's usually how it is. And as far as politics, like that kind of situation, it's difficult to understand, or the audience has difficulty understanding sometimes because they're not so deeply involved and don't understand the rules and why they're demanding one guy fight this guy versus this guy having a voluntary title defense. Or, like I said, they're not so informed. And I'm only informing just a little bit of it because that's just a little bit that I can understand. But every case is different. Every scenario, every situation, every fighter is a little different circumstances. Like I said, I had to vacate those titles because I didn't care for those fights that IBF demanded, and I fought, the guys that I did. Eventually, I had to vacate, the WBC as well. When I moved up to fight Errol Spence, I had just vacated the IBF, and then the WBC says the same thing. Hey, what are your plans? We'll allow you to move up to 47, but what's at 135? Are you coming back down? I said, no, I'm not. So I had to vacate that one too. So it just happens,
Like you said, you probably gave very little, but at the same time you gave a lot, because us fans, even people in boxing, some people don't know the thing, so you actually broke down a lot there.
We've been in it for many years.
Over, 20, 30 now?
If you go back to when my dad started it, you got to talk about over 30 years of experience. So, we've learned along the ways.
Now, another big fight coming up in a couple of weeks. We actually have David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade. That fight looks really good. 25th. And then you got Big Charlo versus Benavidez Jr. The son también.
They got some good fights. I think Benavidez and Andre is a very good fight.